Okay, this is going to blow your mind because the end of this video is going to have you saying, oh, so this is easy. So take your time and watch to the end, plus the video is not even long. So hello everyone, my name is Mabel and you're welcome back to this channel where I'll be showing you step by step on how I was able to achieve this waistcoat. Well detailed, very simple to draft, and also easy to sew. So do well to subscribe to this channel, turn on your post notification to be notified anytime I upload a new tutorial. So this line here is my shoulder line, and this line here is where I'm going to be using to mark out my button overlap. So from the starting point line, the shoulder line, the length I'm using is 22 inches for the waistcoat. Now I added extra 3 inches for the waistcoat extension. So I'll mark 10 inches for my bust point, 16 and a half is for my waistline, and then 22 inches is for the full length. And this is me indicating this is the bust point, this is the waistline, and this is the top line for clarity's sake. So now I'll go ahead to mark 8.5 inches. That was what I'm going to be using for my armhole measurement. And to get it, I divided my round bust measurement by 6 and then I added 2.5 to it. And along the video, I'll explain to you the reason why I added 2.5. Now I'll divide my round shoulder measurement by 2. I'll mark it. I'll mark the same thing on the chest line to get a straight line. Now the standard neckline is 3 by 3, but for this I'm going to be using 3.5 inches. You can use neckline of your choice. Now I'll come down by 6.5. I'll connect it to give me like a V shape. Now I'll come down by 1.5 inches for the front. Reason why I added that 2.5 inches to my armhole. Now you can divide whatever you have here, but I'll just go by 3 inches here, and there I'll go in and mark 0.75. You can do 0.5. Now I'll divide my round bust measurements here to connect my armhole curve. So now on the bust point here, I'm going to be dividing my bust measurement by 2. I'll mark it, and also on the top length, I'll come down by 1 inch from that bust point, and I'll go ahead to connect a straight line. Now for the dart opening, you can do 0.75 or 1 inch, but I'm going to be doing 0.5 inches, and then I'll connect all the dart legs together. Now I'm going to divide all my round body measurements by 4. Now the bust, I'll divide it by 4, mark it. I'll do the same thing for the waistline, and I'll return that dart. I'll divide my upper hip measurements by 4, and then I'll connect these 3 lines together. Now this waistcoat is going to be having a bust dart, side dart, and my side dart is 1.5 inches. That is the difference between my front half length and my back half length. And now for the button overlap, I'm going to be using 1 inch starting from that my neck depth all the way down. Now from the top length, I'll go up by 2.5 inches there and mark the 1 inch to connect the straight line upward. Now I'll go ahead to extend this dart leg with 2 inches downward, then I'll connect it to this point to give me like a V shape. This is the extension for the waistcoat. To add more fittings to this waistcoat, I'll go up by 1 inches from the side dart here, and I'll go ahead to connect it this way. So basically that's it. This is where the buttons are going to be placed. Now you can decide to transfer your side dart to the shoulder or to the armhole, but I'm going to be leaving mine this way. A little explanation in case you want to transfer it. This is what you do. Just create a line to connect the armhole. When you slash it open, that way you'll be able to transfer the bust dart. The same thing goes to the shoulder line. You can just divide whatever you have here by 2 and create a new dart. So like I said earlier, this is very easy to draft. Now just go ahead to cut it out following the same way and method I am cutting mine. And here is also a reminder for you to subscribe to this channel, watch this video, share it to your friends, to groups. Give this video a like. If you have anything you don't understand or you feel like you have other options or suggestions, please drop them in the comment section. So you can add your allowance for the pattern, or you can just do that directly when you are transferring it to fabric. So for this part, I'm going to be cutting out the dart, so it will be easier for me to transfer it to fabric and also easy for me to sew. So just take your time and watch how I am cutting it out. Very easy to understand and straightforward. Now, however you transfer your dart, please just go ahead and do that, but this also works perfectly well for me. So basically this is what I have. So when I'm transferring it to fabric, I'll also remember to add like sewing allowance, which I'll definitely be showing you in the process. Okay, so the back is very simple. Now this is the shoulder line, this is the chest line, the waistline, and then the top length. Now remember our front half length is 16.5, and then I minused 1.5 inches for it to give me my side dart. Now you're going to be minusing it from your back measurement in order to get your pattern drafted accurately. So the back neckline is 3.5 by 1 inch. I'll give it a curve. Now the shoulder slant for the back is 1 inches. Now I'll divide whatever I have here on the armhole by 2. I'll go in with 0.5 inches. I'll divide my round bust measurement by 4 to create my armhole curve. So now I'll go ahead to divide my nipple to nipple measurements by 2, mark it. Now from the chest line, I'll come down by 1 inches there. Now I'll connect it to the straight line and mark my dart intake of 0.5 inches and connect the dart legs together. Now for the back tightening, this is optional, but to give it more fitting, I'll be going in from the waistline by 0.75 inches. So I'll go ahead to extend it up to the chest line and downward to the top length. Now I'll divide my round bust measurements by 4 the waistline, and I'll also add this dart the same way we took the measurements for the front, and then I'll connect it together. Okay, so also remember for the front, I went up by 1 inch. So I'm going to be doing the same thing here. I'll connect it to the dart leg. This is to balance when you're joining it to the front part. So when you're drafting yours, make sure you use your accurate body measurement or wherever you're making it for. Follow the same process, as simple as it is. The sewing part is very easy and straight to the point. And again, just in case you did not hear me the first time, please subscribe to this channel, watch, recommend, share to people, to groups, to yourself. Thank you. And just as you're watching, I'm going to be cutting out the darts the same way I did for the front. So now I'm going to transfer the pattern to fabric, which I had already done, and I added the necessary sewing allowance. Even inside the dart, I added a half-inch sewing allowance here on the side dart and also for the back, and then I cut out 4 of it. One is going to serve as my lining. You can use any material for your lining or any fabric of your choice. The same 4 pieces I cut out for the front is the same 4 pieces I cut out for the back. Now I'll just go ahead to stitch the darts. That's the first thing I'm going to do, the darts for the back and also for the front. Now after I'm done sewing the darts for the back, I'll be sewing the back, the center back this way to join them as one. And I'll repeat the same process for the front part. I'll stitch the center dart and also the side darts. I'll repeat the same process on all the pieces I cut out. So this is it after I was done joining the darts, the center dart and the side darts. Then I turned it over to the other side. I give it a good press. Now if you're busty, you will notice some lumps here. It is okay, because that is the part that is going to accommodate your boobs, right? Now turning it over, I added hairstay, gum stay to this place where the button is going to lap to give it some firmness. And to the back part, I stitched all the darts, the center, and also give it a good press. I did the same thing for the main fabric and also for the lining. Now to the sewing part, I'll sew the 2 sides together to make it a complete outfit. I'm going to be doing the same thing on the main fabric. I'll sew it from the side with half-inch allowance that I added. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Now the same thing I'm doing here is the same thing I'm going to be doing on the lining. Now this is what you should get after you are done. Now I'll bring the other parts of it right side facing each other. I'll join it together like this, and I'll stitch round all the way around. I'll sew it all the way around, then I'll turn it out, use from the armhole area. Okay, so this is me showing you my method. Like I said, I'll sew it all the way around, then I'll flip it to the right side from the armhole area. After that, I'll go ahead to close up the armhole. Now however you want to do the armhole, it all depends on you. Now while I was stitching it, I added hemming gum so that when I press it down, it's going to stick well. Now I left the center back open. That is where I used in turning the armhole for this vest. Now to close it up, you can top stitch it or you can use your hand needle to do an invisible stitch. Now add your buttons to it, press button, whichever one you want. Now this is my first fitting, no adjustments. Follow the same process, you get the same result. So far so good. This is nice. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Do well to share this video.